Mic test, test. Audio, audio. Mic test, test. And there we go. Welcome, everybody. This is Sparty. We are here, America's Thursday F2 series at the lovely track of Singapore. And we have 14 drivers, I do believe. Rather large grid. Had been lacking lately. Sublime has gotten the whip out. Has gotten the drivers in shape as we are in the second to last week of the season. So we will see a short 25% race here at Singapore, 9 laps. 23 corner track, a fan favorite, definitely, and a driver favorite all around. Doing a little poll before the race. Everybody is super excited to race this track one last time before they do have the layout change. Then that'll drop from 23 corners down to 19 corners with a nice little fast area to get rid of that little under the bridge left right. So we will have a one-shot qualification here as soon as the time clicks down. We will follow. Nope. Well, there's Verts. We'll follow somebody else. Verts will get some pretty good screen time later on. Trying to get all the way up to Rebel. He is a staunch fan of the F2 series. I can't get him. We will follow Mr. Highside, apparently, because the thing is going back and forth and back and forth. So as we see, the super soft tires here. So we hit that first DRS zone. Is active after the front straight. Highside currently sitting in 10th position on the grid. Blockman, you see, Rebel must have had an issue. He dropped down to 7th place. A little bit of movement up here. Sargent briefly topped the top 3. Verts, however, is rocketing towards the top, like always. Sublime falling towards the bottom of the grid. He must have stopped to refill his beverage on the qualification lap. Always a smart move. Don't drink and drive. Make sure you pull over and do that instead. Blockman currently does have the pole time. Vitamin D sitting at 2. Hopefully you can take that 2 through this third sector. High side, a little bit of braking late in that corner as we see that Sargent does drop down the grid slightly. Big movement as we come down through the treacherous under the overpass section. Miss that braking zone, you're going directly into that wall and you're not going to have a good time. Blockman and Verts fighting for the top. Vitamin D dropping just slightly. As Highside comes around the final 2 corners, keeps it inside the white lines. Blockman does get pole with a 148.377. As we see, Highside does get 11th place here. All right, and so we have Blockman with takes the pole. Verts followed in second. Vitamin D in third. Drag King in fourth. Nico 5th. Mixon Table is 6th. Schmegan 7th. Sargent in 8th. Style 9th. And Jelly Bologna Ham rounds out the top 10. Highside 11th. Rebel in 12th. Sublime 4.5 seconds off the pace in 13th. And Flavis brings up the 14th position here. Reminder to everybody who has not watched one of these lovely commentators' sessions by me, they will invert the top 10 after the first race for the second race. And before we get to that, quickly let's check the standings. So we do have basically Verts has almost all but locked up the championship with a couple of good finishes here tonight. He is 75 points ahead of Blockman. Viridis is in third, Vitamin D 4th, Drag King in 5th. Nico in 6th, Jelly Bologna Ham 7th, Captain Schmeg in 8th, Sublime in 9th, and Sargent is in 10th. Art all but has locked up the championship as well with 601 points. Dams is about 140 points behind, followed by Prima, MP, Virtuosi, Carlin, Trident, Compost, High Tech, VAR, and Charus. Yeah. So again, just for those tuning in and listening land, it's Art, followed by Dams, and we have no formation lap, followed by Prima. So here we go. Rebel has just joined, unfortunately. And we're off. No formation lap again, because that is what we do here as everybody zooms by the camera. Birch leads it down into turn one. Blackman just right behind. We do have three wide action back in the pack. Looks like High Side, Mixing Table, and Schmeg all side by side as they go through 1 and 2. A little bit loose from Style. Style gets turned around there briefly. Rebel and Sublime also looks to be collateral damage. Verts does get away, followed by Blockman. Everybody single file down here through what will be the first DRS zone when that is active in 2 laps. Nico side by side, Drag King. We got Schmeg right behind with Mixing Table. Both of them get a little loose on exit. Jelly Bologna Ham trying to get Mixing Table. Does get that good amount of draft from these F2 cars, unlike the F1 cars that do nothing when you are following the vehicle in front of you. So Blockman 3/10, 6/10 of a second behind. We have High Side and JBH going side by side. Unclear if High Side ran a little bit of wide and got in touch with the wall or not. Rebel getting passed by Flavis as they head into the corner, and Rebel comes out in front. Sargent watching what is going on in front as he tries to catch back up to the field. Blackman right on Vert's heels. Typically not something that you see during a race, where Birch usually checks way out in front of the field. So it's good to see some little chasing action going on here as Nico follows Drag King through the final corners. Onto the front stretch. Mixing Table, High Side, all the way to the inside pit wall. Must be checking to see what that sign said. Style following close behind between corners 1 and 2. We see Blockman again, right on the tail of Verts. So in a lap, when the DRS does open, he will be in prime position to make the attack. There's a huge gap between him and Vitamin D, who does have a trail of 2 cars right behind him. Need to get a little bit of a super milk in there. As we are coming through down to the little hairpin section. Very crucial in setting up your car for this DRS zone that we'll see here next lap. F1 cars, you tend to spin the wheels at that corner. As we see Schmeg pulling straight into the wall, just as I mentioned, that's exactly what happened. Lost traction and just T-boned the wall. Does move down the track. I don't see any wing. Yep, he is missing the left end plate on his wing. Let's see if he pits or just stays out. You pit, you're basically done here. Probably not going to be a safety car, because that's how the F2 short 25% races usually go. But we did make it to turn 1 before we had any incidents, which we did have a 3 week in a row oopsie daisies before we reached turn 1. There was a big accident 3 weeks in a row, so that was super to see. It was almost like a Tier 2 Tuesday race. Nico following Drag King and Vitamin D. They both will have DRS coming into this next zone. Blockman also should have DRS as they come through the fast section of the track. Does run wide. You do see that wing is open. 0.3 of a second behind. Let's see if he can close that before the next corner. I don't think he's going to have the pace there. We do have Nico, however, is all over the back. Drag King took a peek. Slotted back in behind. So no dice on that DRS zone. So as much speed as you get on those typically. Does seem that you need to be probably about 0.3 of a second at the most in order to make that move. Flavis now trying to chase down Sargent, who's trying to chase down Sublime, who is not in DRS striking distance of Rebel at the moment. Kind of jostle through the fields. Currently, biggest mover of the race is Jelly Billy Ham, up 3 spots. Sargent down 5. Everybody else either up or down 1 or stationary. Blockman still trying to hunt down Verts. Only a 0.4 of a second lead, unfamiliar territory. As Blockman does get into that wall in the final 2 corners, coming onto that tunnel chicane, or underpass chicane. Drag King with Nico all over the back of him. Too far back from Vitamin D to make a move. Nico does take a brief look, slots back in behind. Does not complete the move or even actually try as somebody. Sublime looks to have had a moment over on the front stretch. Maybe got loose coming out of that final corner. Half in the bag. Verts under attack by Blockman. Blockman side by side as they head. Verts does have the preferred position. Good little move. Blockman could not make it stick coming out of that DRS zone. We'll have another opportunity here coming up in the next couple corners. Do not see Vitamin D. Pass by Drag King on the outside, hanging around. Terrible video where, goes in. He does, so Drag King clips the inside wall on that hard corner going on the left. I think that's just what Vitamin D needed. He has a train of car. Oh, shoo-bop-de-wop. Drag King. I'm unsure if it was Drag King or Mixing Table. It was Mixing Table that just took a huge dive. Almost didn't even use the brakes, Maki style. And just blew up Drag King's race. As he is now conceded all positions on the track, he sits in 14th. That was, I'm sure we'll see a steward report for that, which will be the first time in a while that a report will be happening. Boy, yeah, you saw there was a 4-car train ready to be all over the back of Vitamin D. He was getting ready for it, and the train exploded prematurely, and he was able to slither away from their grasp. Style now trying to chase down Drag King. If they had realistic damage, he would have no side pods at the moment. As we see Blockman coming down, they will have DRS again in the shorter DRS zone here. Check back with Highside. Highside chasing down Rebel. Rebel does have a time penalty, so that definitely will come into play. Blockman does have DRS. As we look back through some strange camera angle. As they hustle down to the end of the DRS sector. Does not make a move, stays behind, probably going to go on the attack. Obviously on the front stretch, it's a little bit easier to pass there or to make an attempt. Nico is on the back of Vitamin D, 0.2 of a second, as they go through the underpass section. As Nico clips the wall with his rear tires, goes sideways, Tokyo drifts, loses not as much time as you would have thought, only about 0.6 of a second on that contact, but definitely has slid back. No damage to the wings, but had a bit of a moment there. Vitamin D should be able to hopefully extend out of that DRS zone. We shall see. Sargent as Rebel. Rebel went, oh, wow. That was not Rebel. Sargent Flavis. Flavis looks to have gotten, maybe not even Flavis. I don't even know at this point in time. The commentator is so confused at all these views. Sargent has no end plates and half of a right wing. Somebody had gotten loose and gone totally sideways. Did not ghost. Looks like Sargent was not the recipient of any sort of good luck in that moment. It's Blackman still chasing down Verts as they come to the end of the second sector. Takes it wide. Does get a little love tap to Verts' diffuser. Mixing table gets a 2-second penalty. New guy on the grid there. Should probably stay within the limits. So we got Nico, 0.4 of a second behind. Only a 2-second penalty for Jelly Bologna Ham. So Nico is all over you. Dude, that would have been a very dangerous move. He does slide again through the corner, so having some grip issues. Loses another 0.6 of a second in that same area that he did last lap. As long as Vitamin D can keep him behind there, it looks like he'll be able to pull away in that sector just about every time. 3 laps remaining in the race. Blockman still chasing down Verts. This is the most action Verts has seen in a long, long time. Rebel, both he and Style do have 2-second time penalties. So the pass would need to be made on track. Everybody pretty well spaced out except for Blockman and Nico chasing Verts and Vitamin D respectively. As we saw Sublime get a little squirrely, leaves an end plate or two kind of as a memento over on the left side of the track there. Not exactly what you want to do. Now sits 11 seconds behind. Healthy gap, however, it could be a play for the inverted top 10 for race number 2. As we see Sargent and with Table all over the back. Should watch out for the late lunge, as we have already seen that once. Mixon Table goes for the pass on the left-hand side as they come down to a not too wide set of corners. Nico and Blackman still at their same delta. Sargent with Mixon Table on the inside. Does have that wing damage as they barrel down towards a sharp right-hander. Whoa, as Sargent does go a little bit wide. Mixon Table does go through in the positions. He does have that 5-second penalty from the contact where he forgot to brake. Blockman chase, does get a bit of a snap there as they head into the DRS zone. 2 laps remaining. Chasing down Verts, you kind of wonder if he's just biding his time or if he's actually going to start making a move here as he does try around the outside. Both guys side-by-side action. Blockman gets a little swirly on exit. Does have the preferred line as side-by-side. Oh, Blockman snaps again. Verts goes through. So Verts hanging on by a thread here. Blockman having some traction issues upon corner exit trying to make this pass. Blockman does take it wide to end. There he goes again. So for the 3rd time this lap, Blockman loses traction. And that most likely is going to be the lead as well, as we see Schmeg or Drag King. Get a little loose back in Sector 1. We go chasing down Vitamin D. It's been a good little battle here between these two. Vitamin D again earlier escaped that four racer train right behind him. So Nico has been traction issues in this section the last couple laps. Does not have them thus far. It gets through here a lot cleaner than he had in the past. So 0.4 of a second is as the delta for the podium as we are now starting the final lap of the race. Rebel all over the back style. JBH does pick up a 2-second time penalty. So he now has 4 seconds. That could come into play as Schmeg is 3 seconds and change behind him. So Blockman not able to get it done here on this final DRS long section. Nico, 0.3 of a second back. Not going to be able to get this done as well. Does slot right in behind Vitamin D as penalty. So Style is in the clear, does have a little bit of a buffer as Rebel does have 2 additional seconds, plus needs to make the pass on track. High side has Mix and Taylor right behind him. And we'll follow Blockman and Verts one last time through what will basically be the final full DRS zone of the race. Verts goes to the outside. I would not have chosen that line there. Blockman on the inside. If he can get this powered, he did not. Wah, wah. So Blockman now has to hope that Verts does have an issue coming through these final corners. There is no good place to pass unless he decides to give him the old chrome horn. Verts 3 more corners to yet another victory. Blockman unable to make a move unless he sends it down this corner here. He's not going to get it done. Verts will cross the line. In first, Blockman in second. Nico trying to get to that podium with Vitamin D. Looks on the outside, gets super loose. And Vitamin D does get that podium spot. JBH will cross the line, and it looks like he was able to actually keep his position, even with the giant deltas, as Schmeg and Drag King were way too far behind. Style, who has been passed by Rebel, should get him here on time penalties. There we go. Sublime is a year and a half behind everybody else, sitting in 10th. Will get that inverted top 10 spot, however. High side getting chased by Mo Table, who does have a 5-second penalty, pushes him out a little bit more. That's not entirely nice. Will drop down, however. Follow Sargent coming around to the line, and Flavis rounds out the field. So there we go, a little bit of beating and banging. I'd say a super exciting race, but I might be wrong. And here we go. So we've got Verts, yet another win, probably his 10th win on the season, and most likely has locked up the championship. Blockman finishes second, Vitamin D in third, Nico in fourth, Jelly Bologna Ham comes home fifth, Schmeg in sixth, Drag King in seventh, Style Harmony in eighth, Rebel in ninth, and Sublime will get that optimal position for race number 2, inverting all the way to the pole, which he does love, from 10th into first for that next race. High side, unfortunately, is in 11th, will not move. Sargent in 12th, Mixon Table in 13th, and Flavis in 14th. So we will have probably about a 5-minute break in between here for the inverted grid to be set, drinks to be refilled, bathrooms to be utilized, naps to be taken, etc., etc. So we shall return. All right, hang tight. We should be starting here in a minute or two. Sublime apparently has forgotten to set the grid, maybe is fixing to put the formation lap in. So a 9-lap race is what we had at Singapore. Austria seems to be a lot shorter, but yet only 10 laps for a 50% race. Interesting. So hopefully the formation lap is on, a 50% race that we should see here in Austria. As you see, it is now 20 laps instead of 10. So glad that we got those settings all squared away. 20 laps of an F2 race, however, is rather brutal. So hopefully everybody is buckled up and ready for this fun and super exciting event as they barrel down towards the first corner. So we should be ready to go here any second now. You should see everybody ready up. All right. So as we sit here waiting on the grid for everybody to check and change their tires, get those strategeries all down. Reminder for everybody at home that it is fixed setups in this lovely F2 bus driving adventure. We'll be at the Austrian Grand Prix, also known as the Red Bull Ring. A nice fast 10-corner track layout. 2.683-mile track, approximately 4.318 kilometers. Fun little facts. Apparently, the most amount of wins, there are 3 drivers that have 3 wins at this track, which I figured there would have been more. It is Joe Siffert, Alan Prost, and Max Verstappen. All right, hopefully this is a formation lap that we see here. It is fantastic. Lobby was set correctly. C- says somebody is going to run into someone else and get disqualified right off the start as we see Sublime hanging loose, trying to warm up tires. Almost gets clipped by Rebel there, so that'll be fun to have them both sitting on the grid with cold tires. It's almost like everybody forgot that there was a formation lap, which is sort of comical. Yes, anyways. Let's take a gander here at the tire situation. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 drivers are on hard tires to start the race. So we'll see how long they are able to keep those up. A couple of them, the remainder, are on the soft tires. So they will be hard at the end of the race. We do have... Let me check my chat channel here. Okay, nothing of importance in there. Great, fantastic. So, starting at the top of the grid, we will have Sublime and Style, 2 of the top 3 on hard tires. Soft compounds in positions 2, 4, 5, 8, 13, and 14. Interesting to have the guys at the back of the grid being on soft tires as we see Rebel take an adventurous loop around there, coming down. Drivers should be aware that they do need to stay inside the far right lines when pitting. Going outside those lines and then cutting back over them will result in a penalty if they do get reported, if anybody pays attention to that. And that does remind me, there was one incident from the China race that was reviewed, and I do believe there was a time penalty that was removed from Sublime for speeding in the pits, because Blockman did give him the old bumpity bump. So here we go for 5 red lights. Game on. As they're barreling towards turn 1. See how many crashes we got here. Somebody got a fantastic start. It might be Jelly Bologna Ham as we go 4 wide into the corner. And that's a terrible view. I can see no cars. Thank you. Great. Sublime does take the lead. Style outside. Nico outside of Style. Style getting run on a little bit here. He does have JBH also on his left-hand side as they head into the tight hairpin corner. Number 2, 3, maybe, as Sublime went from first to not first. Bad set of corners there on corner exit. Maybe lost some traction, and there is a whole pack of cars coming as Blockman does give a little bump to Style. I do believe that was side by side. Different colors of cars that are in the F1 series, so who the heck really knows who these guys are? So Blockman in behind Little Milk as they head through into Sector 3 side by side. We see Sargent taking a scenic route over through the gravel. So, wow. Sublime, Verts were side by side there for a brief little moment. A little bit of contact, perhaps, that was seen. Sublime is usually a driver that likes to stay in between the lines. That's typically why he is slower than most, because he does pay attention to those track limits and doesn't pick up too many penalties. So when something like that happens, you know, probably was outside his control. As Vitamin D dives deep into side of Style, does make the move. Unclear if there was contact on there, just because these camera angles are hot toilet. Vitamin D now is chasing down JBH as we see Schmeg on the inside of Style. Does get that job done. Looks like Mixon Table gets passed by Verts. Verts is now from 10th only up into 9th position. Vitamin D side by side with JBH. Don't know if there's a little bit of diffuser contact there as they come around the tight left-right corner. Field spaced out pretty good up in front until we fall back into 4th, 5th, 6th. This Rebel sets a fast lap thus far. I'm sure that time will come significantly down. Blockman. JBH runs wide. Blockman does now have the preferred line. Should have the speed as well. As they hustle down into the tight right-hand corner. Still does have overlap. We'll see who outbreaks who. Blockman still has position. Was not able to get that pass done. Briefly had a nose in front. But Jelly Bologna Ham says, not today. Out loud. On his stream has style. Dives in deep. Gets a little squirrely. Does have contact with Mo Table. That was... Everybody looked to make it through besides Style and Mo Table a little bit. So Style did not reset to track there. That's always good. A veteran driver knows the different rules. Mo Table all over the back of Sublime. Did have that nice little dive bomb there in the first race where he forgot to use braking and instead used competitors. We'll see what turn 1 looks like. He does have the inside line to Sublime. See what view we get for the camera. Sublime dives deep, hangs it around the outside. Had a good corner, however. Mo Table does have the speed upon exit. Sub fighting back. Has Highside, who's going 3 wide on the inside briefly. Gets that done. Sublime is just getting taken advantage of here in Austria. As we bounce around a little bit, Rebel has a 1.4 second lead already. Drag King has a 1.4 second lead over Nico. So Vitamin D is the closest battle up front, as we see Blockman all over the back of Verts. Just up ahead, we see Schmeg all over the back of Jelly Bologna Ham. Hopefully that wasn't left out in the sun, because that would be rather rancid. Mo Table picks up a penalty 5 laps into the race. Technically 4 laps into the race. So here we go with Schmeg. He can get a run. Does have DRS open as well as Verts and Blockman. Should be able to get this move on JBH, who sticks to the outside. Interesting. So Schmeg does hang at JBH, does get the drive off the corner. Has Verts and Blockman still all over the back. All of them still have the DRS wing open. Now Schmeg's going to try the outside. I think this is going to leave the door open for Verts. No, that did not work out. Schmeg hanging tough. Does have the preferred line here on these set of corners. We'll see if Verts takes the inside as well as he does. Schmeg still hanging tough, right behind. Verts just waiting. So Schmeg on the soft tires, unable to make that pass. Ends up getting passed by Verts, who has a preferred line on JBH, who runs wide into the final set of corners, not once but twice. Interesting to see if he gets any penalties on that. So Verts with the DRS wing open should have, as we have a 4-wide battle going into 1. Really good, no contact with anybody. Verts does get it done. JBH is kind of a sitting duck here. However, Table, JBH, and Blockman all under a blanket together. As Blockman dives in, Verts goes wide. Who is ghosted? Schmeg is ghosted for some reason. Have no idea why. Everybody was up inside Schmeg going into that corner. It's Blockman now on the outside of a non-ghosted Schmeg. Does leave room ever so slightly. Quite the battle that we see here. Sublime chasing down high side through the same set of corners. Style Harmony picks up a penalty. Schmeg picks up a penalty. JBH picks up a penalty. The point is not to pick up penalties, everybody. As Verts looks to have had something go terribly wrong. Unfortunate for Verts there. Championship leader may have the championship locked up. However, did seem to have a moment and was still on track, so maybe a reset, maybe not. Unclear from the broadcast point of view. Sublime chasing down high side with Style in tow behind. Sublime moving over to the left-hand side. High side does block that off. Sublime sticks it in the diffuser. Does get a little slow upon exit. Maybe got bunched up there. Now it is under attack by Style. As we see Blockman getting around Schmeg. Mo Table still in the hunt there. Oh, that's pretty tight. Mo Table lets off a little bit on the inside of Blockman. Sublime picks up a penalty as well. This is like junior racing day for everybody here. Come on, guys. Stay inside the lines. So Rebel over a 2-second lead. Vitamin D still has a big gap. As Drag King picks up a penalty, so we have 6 people out of 14 with penalties already, and we are just started the 8th lap of the race. The object is not to rack up the most time penalties. That will not help you towards the end of the race. That will hurt you. As we still see Table. Oh, Schmeg. Schmeg ghosts yet again on the exit. Corner 3. Drops a spot to Verts. So these soft tires, I imagine the soft runners will probably start to come in, perhaps this lap or next. Time seems to be dropping just ever so slightly. Style chasing down Sublime. Verts, no wing damage that we see. Does have a purple sector 2. As we see Drag King dive into the pits. Anybody else coming into the pits? We got Mo Table, no Taker, Captain Schmeg, no. Flavis will be our next one, and it looks like he's not. Okay. All right. So 1 Taker on soft so far. We'll be pitting this lap. So Drag King will come out on soft tires, see if he's able to undercut anybody. Nico has caught up to Vitamin D in DRS's zone. Blockman all over the back of JBH with Table and behind him as well. Blockman, JBH does leave that inside open. Very curious. You definitely want to close that inside because somebody will just barge right through there and take advantage of you. This Blockman loses it on traction. We saw that in the last race as well. No Table sitting behind. We got Rebel. See if he dives into the pits here. Rebel will go into the pits, is careful to stay inside that white line. Vitamin D. Clean as well there. Good job. Mo Table, see if they also dive into the pits. This pit lane is rather treacherous. Mo Table does go outside the lines. Ever so slightly. Captain Schmeg, we missed that one there. And it looks like Highside has wanted to go talk to that worker over there in the corner. So maybe something happened over there. Maybe some apologies between the drivers. I guess we'll... And we see Blockman, Vert, and Nico. all three side by side, barreling towards whatever corner this is. Really good announcing job as Blockman does make contact with Verts. Does get side by side. JBH unable to take advantage of that as Verts loses it over into the gravel. Lost it on traction coming out of that corner. Slides over and is kind of set in the middle of nowhere now. So unfortunate turn of events there. Had a nice little battle going, three side by side as we see, I don't even know what this is. So it looks like Sublime. That's Sublime. Sublime forgot how to enter the pits there. JBH does pick up a penalty. So not a whole lot of driving quality going on by these drivers today. Perhaps it is a long F2 season and everybody's just a little bit tired, but my oh my. So Nico has the lead at the moment. A giant lead over Blockman, 7.5 seconds. Style and Sargent. Let's give Sargent some love here. Sargent chasing down Style Harmony as Motable picks up yet another penalty. No points for most penalty seconds. Most positions lost for most positions or penalty seconds. Style just... Oh, Style goes wide. Over on the left-hand side. Sargent looking to take advantage. Might cut it back here. Do the little okey doke. No, that's not the track. You don't want to drive there. That is gravel and grass. Alright, so Nico does go into the pits. He also speeds into the pits. Looks like Sargent is going to try to pit, and Style did not. That's good, because he would have gotten a penalty right there if he would have, if somebody reported it. So Rebel is now the first car that'll be on fresh tires. Everybody else in the field except for Style has pit. Style will have the freshest softs available. Everybody else will have some rather old hards. Towards the end of the race, Motable takes a look inside Schmeg. It's a little slow upon exit, however. No compromise them going down in the DRS zone. Sargent comes out of the pits. Sublime does take that pass there. However, I have faith that Sargent will be able to catch back up to them. Flavis comes around turn 1. Looking to make up a lot of time here on these hards. Oh, and we do have... That's a terrible view, thank you, game. Verts hanging on the outside of Motable, chasing down Schmeg. Again, 3 drivers, all under a blanket. Almost had a little bit of an incident there. Verts chasing down. He will definitely have DRS as they come down the front stretch. Maybe waiting to make a move, I would imagine. Style Harmony has now pit. Everybody has pit in the race. JBH... Nope, sorry, he doesn't speed. He gets another time penalty. We'll check on time penalties here in a second. He does set a fastest lap, which I would imagine should be invalidated, because if you get a time penalty on your fastest lap, it should probably not count. So Verts gets the job done on Captain Schmeg. Motable gets into the back of Schmeg. Gives a little lunge. No real harm, no foul here. Could have been a lot more damage done if he would have gotten into Verts as well. A little accordion action. Let's see. Stays clear this time, so a little bit more buffer of a gap. Alright, checking on penalties. Jelly Bologna Ham has... Ooh, Nico does have position on Drag King and the tire compounds as well. However, Nico has 5 seconds, Drag King 3 seconds. So Vitamin D could conceivably, if the race were to end this lap, come away with a second place finish due to time penalties in front of him. JBH has 11 seconds of penalties because we don't know how to drive properly inside the lines. Schmeg with 3, Motable with 6, Sublime with 3, and Style Harmony also with 3. So a lot of time penalties for about half the grid here. Sargent chasing down Sublime. Let's follow this one here. All over the back. Gives a little nudge. Lets him know that he's there. 1 nudge, 2 nudge, 3 nudge. Says, hello, I am now on the inside, and I am coming in hot. Sargent barrels through. Closes the door on Sublime. Sublime now left to just look at that diffuser of Sargent in front of him. Gives a little love tap, however. So back and forth, little elephant walking action between these two veteran drivers. You touch me, I touch you. Schmeg picks up another penalty. Penalties all over the place for everybody this race. So we got Sargent. He has 2 drivers in front of him, both with 6 seconds of penalties. And JBH, let's take a little look at the distance from the leader. So currently, as they run, let's see, we have Sublime. Oh, Sargent definitely would cover up JBH's penalties and possibly would move up to 7th place. Sublime with his penalty wouldn't move up that far, has some work to do. So Rebel 2 seconds up in front as we got Verts putting on the attack on JBH. JBH runs wide. Verts does get that move done. So he has started 10th. It's only up until 6th. Did have some issues, possibly a reset to track earlier. We'll see what that does. As we have Sargent. As Schmeg has left the session, that is unfortunate. Whether that's a disconnect or perhaps a rage quit, unclear. Motable now has 9 seconds. So Sub will have that covered as well as Style. JBH only a half a second behind Verts, but really 11.5 seconds per the time penalties. Style Harmony picks up another penalty. So Vitamin D still sitting in second as Schmeg is able to rejoin. So Rebel has lost a touch of time here, about half a second on this lap. So Nico, let's take a look back at the tire compound. Is on the soft tires. So he does definitely have an advantage there. But he still has 4 laps remaining to put on those tires. Ooh, and here goes little Mike. Gonna be set up perfectly for this DRS zone. Let's follow a little POV. His JBH and his time penalties have a disconnector from the section as well. Can he get it done here, or will he choose the second DRS section? Powers down on exit. A little squirrely on Drag King's connection, perhaps, or maybe it's just my screen. But Vitamin D does have the preferred line, goes in super deep, is all over the blue. Careful upon traction, as there is contact between the two upon re-entry. So Drag King does take that position. Looks like JBH has their AI pit to get rid of a 5-second penalty, so that's super. Let's see if they changed, well, at least they gave them fresh soft tires, so that's something. So Nico has made an incredible amount of time up on Rebel. Rebel was 2+ seconds in front. Now he is now only 0.6 of a second. Vitamin D. Oh, Drag King. A little bit squirrely upon exit there, unless it's just a connection. As we see Schmeg around Maybe has a little bit of a front wing. Blockman picks up a penalty. My oh my. It's going to be a battle of who doesn't have penalties, I think, coming here. So Nico, 0.4 of a second behind Rebel. 3 laps left. It was a clean reset for Schmeg. It was a backup and a forward, so no issues upon that we saw on broadcast. But Nico does have 5 seconds of penalties. Vitamin D on the inside of Drag King gets sideways a little bit upon acceleration. Drag King hangs it around the outside, does have that 3-second penalty. However, Nico with that 5-second penalty is inching further and further away from Vitamin D, so that potential second place finish may not happen. Still has a shot definitely at that podium. Staying hooked up with Drag King there. Blockman behind him does have a 3-second penalty. And Verts is kind of in the win, about 4.5 seconds behind that. So we see Nico coming down straight away, 2 laps remaining. Perhaps Nico is, or perhaps Rebel is just kind of laying in wait as Drag King gets another penalty, so that's 6 seconds of penalties. That is definitely going to hurt. He's going to drop down perhaps into 6th place if the race was going to finish at this point in time. Nico, very loose on acceleration there. Vitamin D fighting with Drag King does need to get this move done if he wants to have any hope at a podium. Or excuse me, at a 2nd place on the podium. Both drivers are on the hard tires as well. But Blockman now has also joined the fray, so Vitamin D trying to get past Drag King to have a shot at that 2nd place finish, and also now trying to defend Blockman, who is going to try to take a look on that inside corner with the soft tires. He does have a 3-second penalty, so you would, I don't know how you would approach this if you were a driver with a penalty driving behind somebody. He does get a great run out of the exit. Both drivers with DRS. I think Blockman's going to be able to at least have position here on the inside corner. As Vitamin D does back out smartly, I do believe, just to avoid any sort of contact. 2 drivers in front of him do have time penalties, so he definitely will be in position for a 3rd place finish. Nico chasing down Rebel. Has fallen back significantly since the last time we saw him. Instead of 1/10, he's up to 8. As we see JBH perhaps pass Flavis. Well, that might be an AI. JBH has pit again, so the AI is getting good use out of their tires. So we have Blockman now chasing Drag King. His place should be secure for that podium finish, or excuse me, for that 4th place finish as Rebel does cross the line. Nico will finish on track in 2nd. Drag King on track will finish in 3rd. However, penalties will drop him down into 5th. Vitamin D does take that last podium position. Blockman in 4th, and because of penalties, Verts will fall all the well, not fall, will climb all the way up into 5th place. Mo Table gets passed by Sargent there at the very end due to penalties. Sublime will finish 9th, and Style in 10th. Captain Schmeg, lots of penalties as well. Flavis will be 12th and high side, and JBH here as they come around the last couple corners. All right, so we do see Rebel does get the win. Nico in second. Vitamin D will finish third. Blackman in fourth. Verts in fifth. Drag King sixth. Sargent comes home seventh. Table comes home eighth. Sublime, who started on pole, what he loves, he finished in 10th. Style on rounds out the top 10. Schmeg 11th. Flavis 12th. Highside 13th. And JBH's AI finishes in 14th. So there is one more race here on the F2 calendar that will take place next week. It will be Hungary for a 25% race, and then the Land of the Rising Sun finishes out the calendar, 50% race in Suzuka. So I do believe that the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships should now both be clinched. Everybody should be driving nice and loose, no more pressure on anything. Hopefully a good solid grid for the final race of the season, building towards something even bigger and better for America's F2, whatever day it shall be on. Thursday, probably season 9. Anyways, thank you for joining. This has been InsaneSparty. I hope you loved the rambling, and we shall see you next week.